Chika Adamu, Shiroro Rafimia Federal Council, Niger State APC. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, for clarity and fear of contradiction, particularly for those who take extreme position in terms of partisanship or followership, I wish to state that the governors are not disciples of the prophet. President Muhammadu Buhari is not a prophet. APC, my own party, is not a religion. Mr. Speaker, primaries were conducted in this nation as enshrined by law within September and October 2018 towards a movement or transition of a government from one to another. Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, I will talk to where I'm an expert, which I know better, and other people will discuss others that they know better in accordance with their party. I'm from Niger State. Mr. Speaker, when it came to primaries, the party allowed us to obtain forms for these primaries. A lot of people went and obtained forms to contest election. After purchase of these forms, screening was conducted by the political party. Now, Mr. Speaker, after screening, a lot of people went into contest. Now, in Niger State, I knew the party began to shift dates for conducting such elections. However, Mr. Speaker, in Niger State, particularly I will talk about the House of Representatives election and the State Assembly election. The House of Representatives election was shifted up to the 6th of October in Niger State. When it came to election, Niger State adopted direct primaries. And though the party constitution allowed every state, as they said, to determine which mode of election they will adopt. Some adopted for direct primaries, some adopted for indirect primaries, and there are issues where consensus can take place. But consensus also is not an individual decision. Now, on the 6th, particularly I came from Chiroro Rafimia Federal Constituency, election materials were said to have been disbursed. In Shiroro local government, we are only aware materials were in 4 wards and election was conducted. In Munya local government, there are 11 wards, though Shiroro have 15 wards conducted election. In Munya there are 11 wards, but election was also conducted for between, some people say 3, some people 4, among the agents. This is what they said. In Rafi local government, election material did not go there until on the 7th. And on the 7th, Mr. Speaker, election was held, direct primaries in Rafi local government, in 8 out of 11 wards. Mr. Speaker, after that election, the people who contested elections tally their result and know who is their winner. Why do they do that? The party, as I am speaking to you, no human being, no contestant in Niger State can tell you he knows the result of that election. He can only know it through his agent who participated on his behalf at the various wards. But for him to tell you, I have this document given to me by APC, is a lie. It did not happen. And Mr. Speaker, take note, I was talking also about the State Assembly election. No State Assembly election that took place on the 7th in most of those places, particularly in Rafi local government, so you can see the time has lapsed. But however, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Governor, the Governor of Niger State, Abubakar Sani Bello, His Excellency, Immediately after his own affirmation, because he was alone, the governor jet out of Niger State. He don't even know what is happening in Niger State. He did not go back to Niger State until on the 12th. While he was going, he said he will have meeting with all the contestants from Niger State. My colleagues here, those contesting and those not contesting, contacted me that this is what they know. I said, don't go. If the governor have respect for you as a member of National Assembly, he was leaving Abuja that day, he should have called you for a meeting and tell you what he wanted to tell you, don't go. But however, they did not. He put up all the candidates and he said, Mr. President, they have discussed with him that there was no primary election in Niger State. That Mr. President said they should give the form to the most popular candidates. In his wisdom, which is in conflict with the constitution of his party and the Electoral Act, decided to say that. He put up a committee that will champion what he wanted to do. However, yes, the party constitution allows for consensus candidate. What do we mean by consensus candidate? Consensus candidate is in such situation where all the contestants agree we are withdrawing, we'll leave it for Mr. A. But in his wisdom, as I said, which is in conflict with his party constitution and the Electoral Act, he decided to do that. Mr. Speaker, in Niger State, as I'm speaking to you, somebody contested for Senate. But today, he is giving the ticket of House of Reps to the detriment of those that contested for that position. This is what we see, Mr. Speaker, in Niger State. And Mr. Speaker, what is the simple definition of corruption? Corruption is simply defined as the absence of integrity and honesty. What are we seeing? Mr. Speaker, Niger State, from the inception of this administration, has moved from poverty of governance to misery of governance, and now we are in hopelessness. In such situation, I was once a commissioner to go together with the current governor. In those days, sir, we don't have governance by proxy. Our governor, the chief servant of Niger State, Dr. Mu'adh Babangida Aliyu, whom we have learned a lot, and part of the qualities you see in me in public service came through him. I was together with him as a commissioner. What he does there, he can move from Mina to have meeting in Abuja and go back to Mina. But today, we have a governor who moved from Abuja to Mina to have meeting and come back to Abuja. How can such a person choose who is the most popular candidate? Mr. Speaker, the current governor of Niger State, I stand to be contradicted by anybody in Niger State, cannot finish the tour of 25 local government in 1.5 years. Let them debunk it. He started tour of local government in 2016 and he could not finish it in 1.5 years. What is corruption? Mr. Speaker, I wish the president will follow the governor to Niger State and commission any project worth 3 billion. Mr. Speaker, it was in this chamber when Peter Market was burnt, until when a member, Bala Farouk, took a motion. That was when the governor found it worthy to leave Abuja to Bida, and at that time, the people in their characteristic kept him with stores. Is that a popular governor? I think the president should please be cautious in surrendering power to those who cannot do it. Mr. Speaker, part of the petition I received that moved me to do this petition is the fact that, Mr. Speaker, that we are facing neo-colonization in Niger State. In Niger State particularly, you can talk about your own. I'm talking about Niger, whom I'm an expert there. Neo-colonization in the sense that, Mr. Speaker, this thing that happened to members of National Assembly, equally happened to members of State Assembly. What is their sin? Their sin is that they refuse the governor to obtain a loan, in which part of the loan he will use it in building trailer garage at this age. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, as I said earlier, we cannot allow neocolonization to happen in our environment. It's not possible. The people of Niger State must check the status quo. Mr. Speaker, the first schedule of Nigerian Constitution said, "We the people." Okay, Mr. Speaker, I'm rounding up. The first schedule of Nigerian Constitution said, "We the people." Mr. Speaker, I remember prayers by one of my mentors, Yusuf Metamasule, in every gathering. He said, "May God grant that we may have leaders. Leaders with the fear of God. Leaders who will not lie. Leaders who will accept in public what they accept in secret. And of course, leaders that when they are no longer equal to the exigencies of their nation shall have the prudence of handing over before they fulfill the administration of their country." Mr. Speaker, finally, the power of the people is more powerful than the people and the power. Thank you.